You are exactly as tall as you will ever be. You have been for a long time. Most people assume they stopped growing because they got older. That isn't quite right. You stopped growing because somewhere between the ages of 14 and 17, your body received a chemical signal. And in response, every long bone in your skeleton sealed itself shut. It was a quiet event. You did not feel it happen. You probably remember the year you noticed you weren't getting any taller, and you assumed it was the slow end of puberty. It wasn't slow. There was a specific moment, in a specific season of your life, when a thin strip of cartilage in your shins and your spine and your forearms turned to bone. And from that point forward, you would never grow another millimeter. Most of you have been walking around inside a finished body for 10, 20, 50 years and have never thought about it. Once you understand what actually happened, you cannot stop thinking about it. Chapter 1. The Construction Zones. Open up any picture of a long bone, your femur, your tibia, your humerus, and you will see something most people don't realize. A bone is not a single rigid structure. Near each end, there is a thin band of softer tissue called the epiphyseal plate. We usually call them growth plates. A growth plate is, essentially, a construction zone. Inside it, there are cartilage cells called chondrocytes that are dividing constantly, pushing the ends of the bone slightly outward, while the cartilage that gets left behind hardens into bone. Imagine a worker laying down new track in front of a moving train. The train is the end of the bone. The track is fresh cartilage. As long as the workers keep laying track, the bone keeps moving outward, and you keep getting taller. Every few months of your childhood, that quiet construction project added another visible bit to your height. Pencil marks on a door frame, new shoes, pants that suddenly didn't fit. For about 16 years, that construction never stopped. And then one day, somebody walked through the construction zone and locked the gates. Chapter 2. The Universal Sculptor. The thing that stops human beings from growing is not age. It is not exhaustion. It is not the depletion of some growth fuel we are born with. It is a hormone. And it is one specific hormone doing one specific job in every human body on Earth. The hormone is estrogen. This is the part that surprises almost everyone because we are taught that estrogen is a female hormone. It isn't. Estrogen is the universal sculptor. Every adult human body produces it. And one of its strangest jobs is to walk through every growth plate in your skeleton and tell the chondrocytes to stop dividing. Estrogen induces the cartilage to harden. The construction zones convert into solid bone. The plates fuse. The gates are sealed. For girls, this happens earlier, usually between 14 and 16, because estrogen rises sharply in early puberty. For boys, it happens later, usually between 16 and 18, because their bodies produce less estrogen, more slowly. The growth plates stay open longer, which is why men are, on average, taller. The sculptor just takes longer to arrive. We know this because of one of the most uncomfortable accidental experiments in medical history. For centuries, certain men, eunuchs, castrati, boys castrated before puberty, never produced enough sex hormones to close their growth plates on schedule. The ones who survived into adulthood grew unusually tall, not because they had more growth potential, because nobody arrived to seal the gates. Their bones, given no signal to stop, just kept laying track. Modern medicine has confirmed this in a different way. In 1994, the New England Journal of Medicine published the case of a 28-year-old man with a rare mutation in his estrogen receptor, meaning his body produced estrogen but couldn't hear it. He was 6'8", and at 28, he was still growing. 3 years later, the same journal published another case, a man whose body could not produce estrogen at all. Same outcome. He kept growing well into adulthood because the Universal Sculptor never showed up to lock the doors.
The thing that makes you the height you are is not when you stopped eating or sleeping or running. It is the moment a chemical messenger walked through your skeleton with a key and shut every construction site at once. Chapter 3. The Body You Wear Forever. Here is the part that almost nobody tells you. Almost every other tissue in your body is in a state of constant renewal. Your skin replaces itself roughly every month. The lining of your stomach replaces itself every 5 days. Your blood cells last about 4 months. Even most of your bone is being constantly remodeled. Old bone broken down, new bone laid down, in a quiet rotation that runs your entire life. But the height of your bones is not part of that rotation. Once your growth plates fuse, your skeleton's overall length is locked.
Your hands keep changing slightly. Your jaw keeps moving. Your skull subtly rearranges. But the long bones of your arms and legs and the vertebrae of your spine, the structural beams of your entire body, those are finished. They are the same length they were the day the gates closed. You are walking around today inside the skeleton of a teenager. Whatever shape your body locked into when you were 16 or 17 years old, the length of your femur, the curve of your spine, the reach of your arms, that is the body you will be inside for every birthday, every job, every grief, every love affair, every quiet evening of the rest of your life. It is the only part of you that does not get a second draft. Most of who we are gets to keep changing. Our minds, our skin, our memories, our cells. But the architecture we live inside was decided by a hormone we did not authorize, on a day we did not notice, in a year we barely remember.
Which means that for the rest of your life, you are not exactly a person who grew up. You are a person who carries a 16-year-old skeleton through every room you ever walk into. And every time you stand up, you are standing at exactly the height the sculptor left you. If you have ever had a complicated feeling about your own height, wished you were taller, surprised yourself by being short for somebody, or just looked in a mirror and noticed you have stopped, drop it below. I want to know how you feel about the body the sculptor finished without asking you.